at ACE, Alliance for Climate Education, and I am our facilitator for today's call. And we were having some conversations both by email as well as in the few minutes right before this call about how to respond in the wake of all the protests that are happening around the country, and kind of giving this community a chance to talk, to make, both as humans who are impacted as well as professionals who are working in a not completely unrelated sphere, and how we can make some of those connections. And so Tamara has graciously agreed. She was going to present today, and she's graciously agreed to postpone her talk so that we can make some space for this. What we were also just saying when some folks were joining is that there's probably plenty of people in the Clean Network who would like to be part of this conversation who aren't going to be here today because they can't make it or they didn't know we were going to be doing this. So Katie is going to send an email to the network. But also we're going to look at finding another time when we can have a continuation or another conversation, so that this is not the be all and end all, because we're just kind of responding in a moment and doing this quickly. And so then there's also a piece that's on the agenda today from Frank around ECOS. And so what if, Frank, how long do you need for that piece?
Just a very few minutes.
Okay.
I have a colleague who's here with us.
Okay, great. So why don't we, let's see, how about if we can open it up to announcements that are not related to our longer conversation about police brutality and systemic racism and how we can respond as Clean and support in this moment. And then I'll pass it to you, Frank, for a few minutes, and then we'll open up that conversation.
Perfect.
Great. So let's just open it up for any specific announcements from anyone who's on our call.
So this is Frank. One at NOAA. One related announcement to the conversation actually is in the Stay Institute that's in July 22nd to 24th, that we're still building registration for in cohorts across the country. And there's a partnership between NOAA's Climate Program Office, Climate Generation, and the the Wild Center. There is an equity and justice, I think we're calling them strands. There are 5 strands that we're currently developing, and that definitely feels like one of the strands that was before this all happened. I think that is only going to become more important. So these issues don't sit in isolation. We don't have time to handle all the issues that are in front of us one at a time. And we can't not solve them all. So we have to look at how they intersect. So there's just one thing. If you're interested in supporting that or being a cohort member, or if you've already been reached out to, please let us know. Ingrid, I know we've engaged you in the Western New York cohort development process. So that's it for me.
This is Tamara. I have an announcement. Many of you probably already know the ESIP meeting the ESIP meeting was face-to-face, supposed to be face-to-face in July, has now been completely pivoted to a virtual meeting over the middle 2 weeks of July. I'm participating, and we have it's over 2 days. It's a one-day teacher workshop over 2 days. I think it's 2 afternoons. I'll be running the Climate Solutions workshop there. I do know that they have a set of activities for the teachers, one that just lists Clean as one of the things. I didn't actually know if anybody was associated with that, or I could do that also. I mean, I actually was thinking, I had a strategy around that. But if anybody is already planning to do something at ESIP meeting, let me know. And I think I sent out the registration for the ESIP meeting and I suggested that you disseminate that to teachers, since now it's virtual. You don't have to be local anymore to participate. There is a stipend involved for the teachers that participate. So That's actually the teacher workshop is the 14th and 15th, but the registration for the meeting is free. There is a stipend, and then you get access to the entire 2 weeks of the meeting if there's any other sessions you're also interested in. So I thought I'd let you know.
Tamara, is there a link you can put in the chat?
Yeah, I'll find it and I'll put it in the chat.
Okay, thanks.
And I don't think we were planning to be involved this year again, but I know Patrick was involved with that teacher workshop last summer. So I don't know if you two wanted to connect offline and see what he did, because I know there was some clean participation last year. And I have a quick announcement then on the clean side of things. We're having a special webinar this afternoon at 2 p.m. Mountain Time, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, on really focused on the 7th climate literacy principle. Karen Kirk has developed this webinar, and we're adding it to our regular series. So in the fall, it'll be part of our regular webinar series going into the future, but we just developed it, so we're doing sort of a special session today. So if you know of any educators that might be interested in looking at sort of human consequences and impacts of climate change, please let them know. I can put the link to our webinar page where there's the registration link in the chat.
And I have one other related one, is on Monday, June 8th at 6 a.m. East Coast time or 3 a.m. Pacific time. There is the global launch for the ACE dialogues under the UN process. There's going to be a lot of other work. This relates to the ECOS meeting, but for those of you who might want to attend, that might be something that you want to consider. I'll put the link in here as well. But it's the 8th ACE dialogue, and Clean has been represented in these previously. I just put the link in there. So just something you might want to track. There'll be other regional webinars, we think. The details are still emerging. That'll happen in July. But this is building up to the strengthening climate education training and public engagement, basically, worldwide as part of climate action under the United Nations process. Something to track.
Frank, are you going to be at that? Because I can't make that at 3 a.m. I'm just not going to be there.
Reb, where's your dedication? Come on.
Seriously, it's not there.
Yeah, no, I will be there. I've spoken.
I will be there too.
Oh, Deb.
3 a.m.
That's hardcore right there.
All right, maybe you all can keep us updated in the loop.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you.
It's just 1 hour.
Thanks, Tamara, for the link. Any other announcements before I pass it to Frank? Okay, so Frank, why don't you go ahead with the ECOS update?
Sure. So ECOS, which those of you who may not be tracking this, is the Education, Communication, and Outreach Stakeholders Network, which is officially recognized under the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change process. It is an analog, a sister, a fellow network, actually built on the successful network that we are as a model, but international. And one of the efforts of that campaign right now, that network is a campaign that Izatis Sharon is joined us, and she's going to brief you guys on it later today, right after this call. Actually, the Clean Leadership Board is going to discuss formally joining the campaign. It's called Learn for Climate. So Izatis, if you're there, please let us know, and also specifically if you want other members of the Clean Network to be listed, not just as Clean, but as, say, REB, Alliance for Climate Education, or Series, or any others. So, and remember that this is recorded, so that others who are watching this, the ask goes to those who are recorded as well as listening to the recording as well.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Frank. I'm so happy to be here with you guys. I have heard so much about Clean, and this is my first time seeing you all. My name is Izatis Sharon. I am originally from Puerto Rico, PhD student, and in ECOS I work at the steering committee, or core group, and also the regional liaison for Latin America. So as Frank said on Monday, the UNFCCC, like the SAPTA and SBI chairs, those are two bodies, like decided that because of the pandemic and everything was postponed, that they wanted to keep the momentum, and then they created this kind of platform that there's no negotiations involved, but the idea is to advance like the technical work under the constituent bodies and provide a platform for information and exchange and engagement. So in that context, we have been working on this campaign, and we got word that this was happening recently, and decided that we should launch the campaign on June 8th. You might be wondering, what is the campaign? So, so this campaign essentially works at the international level in trying to build the framework of ACE to try to drive that work on the, like on the national level. So for those of you that don't know, ACE works in education, public awareness, public participation, training, action for climate empowerment. Thank you, Deb. Action for Climate Empowerment works in public engagement, and then training, education, in international collaboration, and access to information. So in those 6 areas, they work together into trying to push this forward. So in this campaign, what we're calling is that agenda is that agenda is implemented across the convention, so that everything about climate has all these 6 areas, because it's so important to have people fully informed and fully engaged in decision making, in order to have the people-centered climate solutions that we need. So basically what we have a couple of partners that are joining us. Some of them were in the talks to whether we will include their logos or not. It depends like on the level of commitment. And this also works in like governmental officials as well. So we have, like Climate Outreach, that is an organization led by George Marshall. And also we have like UNITAR, we have Citizens Climate Lobby, among others. I don't want to go into the list of it, but there are several, and we have been talking to several constituencies. So basically this campaign launches on Monday, but it has, it's not only like a social media campaign. So on Monday, we're soft launching our social media campaign, and then we are creating a set of process to be able to gather information. So we're going to set roundtables in order to set what are the effective, in order to have a conversation about what is the effective implementation of ACE, and have indicators for tracking and monitoring the progress of ACE. So basically that's what is the organization in the campaign in a nutshell. We will be having all this to gear up. Once we have those indicators, we want to set like an observatory for ACE as part of ECOS. So that is working towards, when we get to this international the International Convention Conference, that we have something to show the governments and the ACE negotiators in terms of this is what an effective action for climate empowerment looks like. So that's sort of where we are at, and I don't want it to distract from the other very important conversation that you have. But wanted to see if there's any questions I can ask and everything.
Satis, there's one in the chat window about a little more about the international ECOS and ACE sort of recruitment process or community more broadly.
Yeah, so okay, so ECOS is a network of networks. So what we have is an open platform for everyone that is working under ACE. So we don't close our organization. We're actually very happy to welcome everyone, and we are ever growing, trying to bring more people in to have diverse voices being lifted in the platform. So that's why we have been having conversations with the gender and women constituency, the constituency that works with all the NGOs, and the constituency about Indigenous people. So it's not like a constricted process. In terms of this campaign, we are working with our most close partners in a sense because we have been rushing toward what is the launch date, that we are just keeping it, okay, like who can show up that we know that will support this process, and then like in the way we're gonna gather like a bigger drumbeat. Yeah, okay. So so my ask here is like if Clean Network wants to be part of the campaign, or rather its members. So we have had several conversations with constituencies that we cannot sign on as a partner, but we can lift up the campaign and its different throughout our different members. So that can be one way to participate, but it will be great to feature Clean, since we're so closely aligned into lifting, like climate literacy across the board.
So you're saying you can be like a signed on partner, as well as there's like another level of like a supporting partner, even though you're not a signatory?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So the main ask is that if you do want, and it's autistic, I'm assuming you would be the point person who would put that in there. So if you do want to receive that, I would encourage you to add at least on the concept note, how to do that, or or add your email here, so that people can, if they want to, respond directly to you. I'm assuming that's how you would like to do it.
Yeah. So please like reply to me in order that we can set up however are the next engagement processes, and to have you on board. But yes, at the moment we are mostly gathering what kind of organizations and institutions want to rise up to the campaign, and then we can talk about more individual engagement.
Awesome.
So just to clarify, should we email you, or is there a form online we should fill out?
For now, just email me, because we're launching all that on Monday. So at the moment, it's like just email me.
Great, Isatrice, thank you. Can you put your email in the chat? Perfect.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Isatrice and Frank, for that. And
Absolutely.
for those of you who are just joining, we are shifting up our call today to focus on how we as Clean can process and respond to the protests and the recent police violence, and potentially talking about how we can connect the dots to our own work around climate literacy and education. I wanted to, before we dive into that conversation, I'm just gonna share my screen for a second. And this is something that we use at ACE, which we call our MOMA, our Memorandum of Mutual Understanding, that I just want to offer as some potential kind of guidelines for our conversation in terms of how we bring ourselves into this conversation, because I just want to recognize this is really hard stuff to talk about. So this is what we start with at ACE, and I don't know, I'd like to maybe open it up for everyone here to share. Is there something here that looks like you'd like to specifically call out and say, let's try to do this today? Or is there something else that you use in your own work that you'd like to use as a guideline for our conversation?
I like this list.
You can put things in the chat too. I'll open up the chat.
So obviously, Reb, the last one is a little tricky in the context of a recorded webinar.
Yeah, that's true.
So I think everyone needs to understand that I mean, we could not record this. We could stop the recording if we feel that that's the way to honor that, or we could just amend the great list here with understanding that we're doing this as a recorded platform.
Yeah.
That's
I
a
am
good
open
point.
to either.
I actually, I'm torn with respect to that because I would like this to be an open space where people can feel free to, and I'm not sure how many people would actually listen to such a recording. Is it beneficial for people to listen to our conversations about this or to participate in their own?
My hunch is that virtually no one would listen to it, and I think well, being recorded won't hamper what I say. It might hamper other people's. To stop
Yeah, I see
recording.
Kristen says in the chat that she recommends we stop recording. I think that that could actually give us some more comfort to have an open, productive
I
conversation.
agree.
I was going to suggest that too. And as much as I appreciate like trying to record all of the clean calls and putting them online, we do that with everything. And, you know, we've had one or two where we might have missed a recording here and there, and this can just be part of that. And I think we can have a note that says that, you know, there was sort of sensitive discussion and we wanted to make it better for